Hey everybody, this is Jack from Jack's Literary Corner. I was thinking that I don't know if I'm gonna do TBRs anymore. I mean, I gotta admit, part of the reason why I did them is I have this weird little thing where I like seeing my progress and being able to um, erase what I just finished. Because it shows that I've accomplished something. It's weird. Just like I like making lists too. I'm weird about that too. I have this. I really just love writing out a list of what to do, when I'm gonna do that day. So I'm just gonna do what everybody else does, or maybe, well, not everybody else, but what most people do, which is the currently reading. So I haven't finished anything except, the last book I finished was Mistborn. Although I've been getting there is one book in particular I've been getting pretty far in, but I'm at that point where there are so many books that I've bought the past 6 months or what, and even before that I've been wanting to get to. I'm really excited, but as I said in the past, I don't always like to get to the books I just bought right away because I like to, bask and savor in the fact that I have them and they're on my shelf. Like, I finally have them, and so I don't like to read them right away. But I will still feel the urge, like, oh, I want to read this right now. Like, I'm thinking about the Essex Serpent, um, the what is it called? Um, Water's Edge, Stalking Jack the Ripper. Where is it? Empire Falls, The Lonely Hearts Hotel, I Captured the Castle, Defy the Stars, Across the Universe, Gemini, like all the sci-fi books that I recently have gotten into, which is not really a lot compared to most people, I'm sure, but I have bought a handful of sci-fi books over the past 6 months. My Lady Jane, I finally got around to that because, in all honesty, I really want to read My Plain Jane, and I know that I technically don't have to read My Lady Jane, but I wanted to because it was the first book they wrote. So the Lady Janies, I think that's what they're called. At least that's what I've heard booktubers refer to them as. Where is it? What was the one I was just thinking about? Nevernight. That's another one. I finally got Nevernight. I got the Falconers trilogy, and the good news is I was able to get all three books from the used books, the Gibbons bookstore. That's the used bookstore basically. But basically, like I said, there are a lot of books that I just feel the urge to read right now, but at the same time, I don't want to read them right away. So that's part of the problem. Well, it's the main problem, actually, why I can never. And then there's the thing that I feel pressured when I do, like, TBRs, and it's more so probably the fact that I've been trying to do, like, a lot, like, earlier, like, at the beginning of the first week in the month, I tried to do booktubeathon. That didn't even happen. And then my on my Facebook group, the book group that I do not run, that I'm in, we did our the owner created booktube bingo, a booktube bingo chart, and I was gonna do that. And then a booktuber I watch, Rincey Reads, she was gonna this month. She's doing a read along of Three Musketeers. I was gonna do that, but then it's like I wasn't in the mood for that. And funny thing, if you saw my video with my friend Terry from Florida, she had one of the book. I had her pick out my TBR, and I don't know when I'm gonna get to any of the books that she picked out. I really feel bad because she put in a lot of effort and took the time to do that for me, and I haven't read any of the books that she picked out for me. Well, that's not true. I did put a dent in one of the books that she picked out for me, but she actually picked out Alexander Dumas' other book, The Count of Monte Cristo. Unfortunately, I'm almost done. I'm having second thought. I mean, I'm gonna read that one, but I almost wish I had picked out the mass market paperback because the bigger books like that, like a lot of the classics, it's almost better to get the either the smaller books, because it's just I can carry them everywhere I go and stuff. So okay, well let's get to the currently reading. So I recently started, not that a week ago, I finally started reading Illuminae. I finally have jumped on that bandwagon. And I'm not very far, but I'm on like page 125. And from what I know, and actually I wasn't entirely understanding what's going on, but then someone explained the plot in a video I just watched. They were recommending this trilogy. So now I have a better understanding of how to explain what this book is about if you have not jumped on this bandwagon. This is basically this isn't a, like, I guess this is in the future, and people are traveling in space, and the spaceship there's an attack on the spaceship, and they're trying to figure out why about the attack, who attacked them and why, and something's going wrong with their AI system, Aiden. And it also kind of centers around this couple, Katie and Ezra, who had just broken up right before this all happened, and then they end up getting separated, because I think they were both on the spaceship program or whatever. And what is really cool about this, and what I'm sure you heard dozens of times from other people who read this book, is that it's told in alternative format. Like, you get emails, you get text messages, you get people's private emails that are not, like, their online journals, I guess you could say. There's transcripts of classified documents that people have sent as they're trying to understand what's going on. There's pages with weird text on it, like as if a computer is malfunctioning. Like this, for instance. You have pages like this where you have an image, but there's actually these are actually words. It's really cool, and actually it probably makes it go by a lot quicker, although it's still, as you can see, I've not read a lot, but that's not because, it's mostly because, sometimes I don't read, I'm not one of those people, as much as I love reading, who reads, all day. Although I should try that one day. I should try the reading for 24 hours thing. But I love TV as much as I love books. I love watching movies and TV shows, and if you watched all my videos where I bring up my SuperCon trip, I recently got one of my childhood favorite shows on Blu-ray. I think it's Blu-ray. Yeah, it's Blu-ray. Are You Afraid of the Dark? So I've been kind of binge watching that whole series. So, and I'm sorry that I love TV, and I do agree that books have more value than TV shows. Or not value, but you get a lot more out of books, and you exercise your brain a lot more on books. But and I do want to read more. If not, I want to at least either have read the same amount of books as I do watching TV shows and movies, or at least have it if not more, if not reading more than watching TV, if that makes any sense. But then it bugs me when people talk about how, they don't understand why people don't just read more, why they watch TV, why they would rather watch TV. Or I get a little envious of people that can do that, can sit down and just read a book the whole time, because I'm very passionate about books, but sometimes I just can't sit down and read a book. I have to, sometimes I have to get up, and even when I'm watching TV shows or movies, I'm watching YouTube too. Particularly, mostly BookTube now. And I know it's my own fault, so I can't really get mad at any of those people who have taken the time to read a book rather than watch TV. And it's probably also partly because those people, I live with my parents still, so they're the ones who pay for the TV. So even though I have a job where I don't make a whole lot of money, I'm not the one paying for things like TV and stuff. So it's, I probably take it for granted that, it's easy for me to watch, like, channels that go up to like 1,000. But anyway, I'm liking this. I'm enjoying it. It's very interesting. I mean, there are times when I'm a little confused, but it doesn't help that sometimes I read this when I'm in bed, so I'm kind of tired and getting ready to fall asleep. But it is easier because it's not like a page, a paragraph of sentences. Like a lot of these are just, like I said, a lot of these are like text messages and stuff, and documents. So it's a little easier to read. I'm also still reading, and this is the other one I mentioned earlier, which is that I'm making a lot of progress in. This is Robin Hobb's The Assassin's Apprentice, the first book in the Farseer trilogy, and now I finally have the last book because my friend, the said friend Terry, got me the first 2 books in the trilogy, and then I kept trying to look for it at the used bookstore and at Books A Million, the ones that's near us, and I wasn't having any progress. And I also was looking for Way of Kings at both places too, but I wasn't having progress there. So finally I was like, I'm just gonna see if Mom, she might say no because, she wants me to focus on other things and get all the other books I have read. But she did say yes, and surprisingly she got me both Assassin's Quest and Way of Kings. Then the next day I see Way of Kings, a large floppy paperback at the Givens bookstore. I was like, what the heck? Now I see it there after my mom has bought it for me, and I just got it a few days ago. It's like, seriously? But anyway, you know what? At the end of the day, like I said about, earlier, sometimes these mass market, even though they're not always the best quality, like my copy of Mistborn: The Final Empire, a page fell out of it. I mean, it's still in there, but it came out of the binding or whatever, one of the pages. So, yeah, I understand that these books don't always stay intact, and sometimes they fall apart, but, I mean, they're easy to carry around with you. You can just put it in your purse. But in case you guys don't know, this is a book about this young boy named Fitz, who is the bastard son of the prince of this world, and his father, the king, has decided to take in the boy and put him off on some of the people who work in the palace, like the stable hand, or horse trainer or whatever. I don't know what his title would be, but the guy who works with all the animals and stuff, he kind of takes on Fitz and stuff. And then the king decides, King Shrewd is his name. The king decides to have him apprentice to an assassin, a mysterious assassin. And this book it's all about his life and his life experiences. It's in first person. Like I in contemporary I don't like first person, but in these kind of books I like in first person because it's like, whether it's historical or fantasy, unless it's like modern, unless it's like urban or paranormal fantasy where it takes place in our world. I'm talking like actual fantasy, like in another world fantasy, not paranormal stuff, but in a completely different world. That's when I like first person. And right now there's like something going on where the people in these different villages are being raided, and something weird is happening to them after their village is raided, and the boy Fitz has been recognized and acknowledged by the woman who is his father's wife, because she's all like, oh, we need to do something about this boy. We need to, introduce him to the world, make him part of, make his life better and stuff. So, and there's 24 chapters I noticed, and I'm almost done with chapter 12, so I'll be on chapter 13. And I'll probably read a little bit those 2 pages tonight, and then maybe when I go to bed I'll read a little more, and if I don't get called into work, I'll read some more tomorrow. Because even though I'm technically off, I have a job where they can call me in if they need a little extra help. So, but I'm technically supposed to be off tomorrow, and I'm working on Friday, which is also a day. The second day I have class, because I have class Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and my class started today. So, I have class today, and then I have class on Friday, and now I have to rely on public transportation because my mom and my dad are going to visit my grandmother, and I can't go because I have class and work, and I couldn't just ask off, and I can't miss class, so which kind of sucks, but it is what it is, and I wanted to take this class, and I finally need to have a job. So I'm enjoying that. I can't wait to get it done, and I'm really enjoying Robin Hobb. I can't wait to get into more for books, and I have heard the first book, the Live Ship Traders trilogy, and then Ship of Magic, and then I usually, and this is probably gonna sound weird, but usually I do create my list for Christmas and birthdays really early, because there's books that I want to get. Then I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll just get them, ask for them for Christmas. So I made a list of books I would like to ask for Christmas already, and Mad Ship, the second book in the Live Ship Traders trilogy, is on there, and actually I need to put the third book, Oath. I think it's called Oathbringer, in the Stormlight Archives, because I have Way of Kings now, and before that I had the second book as well. That's the reason why I was looking for Way of Kings, because I saw the second book at the Gibbons bookstore. So I went ahead and bought it, especially because they were having a sci-fi sale. So if you buy one sci-fi book, you get the second one free. Okay, so this next book is actually a book one of the books we're reading for the class, and that is Beowulf. It's a classic, epic poetry classic. In case you don't know, it's basically in poem format, but it tells a story. So this is an edition translated by Seamus Heaney. I think that's Heaney. And if this book has not been on your radar, or you haven't heard about this book, it's basically about this guy, Beowulf. He's a famous warrior, and he goes on this quest to help this kingdom defeat all these monsters. Like, the first one is this beast. Although I think they had made a movie of the book a few years ago. Well, more than a few years ago, probably 10 years ago. And I think in that one, he was Grendel was a troll, that Beowulf Grendel is terrorizing this kingdom and killing people. So Beowulf decides to take it upon himself to help save this kingdom and destroy this monster. And then I think the girl in class today said that Grendel's mother shows up wanting revenge, so he has to defeat him. And then eventually, at some point, a dragon shows up, and he must defeat the dragon as well. So the description, it sounds like a book I would really enjoy, but I was apprehensive about it because it's, like I said, it's epic poetry, so I didn't think, and the original writing of this, if you can see, is Old English, Anglo-Saxon, I think is what they refer to it as. So, but this is a translated edition, and we were assigned the first 50 pages, including the introduction, and as I said in my group on Facebook, why the hell did you have to make the introduction so freaking long? It's seriously. Well, good for that. Yeah, it's great that they, translated this, took the time to translate, and I know it was hard work. Believe me, I understand. Looking at this, I can tell you it's hard. Looking at the original text, I can tell it's hard work. But, do you have to explain every little thing on how you did it? It's okay, good. This is great. I appreciate it. But I mean, an introduction should be no more than a few pages. This was like 10 pages of explaining what they did, and I just, and the only reason I read it, because normally in a book like this I skip the introduction, because a lot of classics have kind of an introduction to them, especially if they're like not, if they're a translated edition of a book. I skipped the introduction, but because the teacher said, when she was, the professor said that when she was going over what we need, our assignment, she said, also read the introduction. But I was able to get it done, and the poem sounded, it sounded, yeah, it was a little confusing, but mostly I got what was going on, and it sounded like a really cool story, like, I mean, not normally something I would read on my own, but, and I was also thinking about, like, what we would do because, I think she'll probably have us do an essay or something on it, and I don't know what we're gonna do, but I was thinking about what could I compare this to, like, for what modern works could I compare this to, and that's what my first thought was. I could write a paper comparing it to how it's influenced today's modern writing, modern fantasy. Anyway, it's pretty good. I've got to the part where Beowulf was arrived at the end. Hrothgar's kingdom is talking about how he can defeat this troll and how confident he is, but he's not 100% sure if he can defeat him, and he might die, but he's pretty confident. So I'm also reading that as well, and I continued with I read a little bit more of Roseblood, which is a modern day, it's modern day retelling of Phantom of the Opera. You have this girl who has the musical gift, has a really beautiful voice, but it seems like her voice drains the life out of you, and I kind of cheated here, and I think that she might be a succubus. And there's this guy who is like the foster son of the original Phantom, who was like spying on her. And of course, that's all the elements of, a school story where there's the school bully, in this case, a girl who's, well, there's two of them actually who are like divas and everything, and our main character doesn't want that kind of attention, and she doesn't like the idea and she's terrified of her own voice, but everyone keeps pushing her to sing and stuff, and she can't sing. Every time she hears an aria, she just has to sing. She can't control it. It's not like, oh, this if I just have to sing. It's, it's like she has no control. She can't stop herself. It's like it's inside of her, and she's gonna snap if she doesn't do it. But like I said, there's a price to that, to her singing. And like I said, this guy who's kind of like the foster son of the Phantom has been following her around, and okay, so there's that, and then there's a few books that I made some dents in. Like, let me get to this one first, because this one I made more of an dent in. This one I've been reading for quite a while now, and with these kind of books, it depends on my mood. But, as you can see, I'm more than a dent into the book. This is when I started, like, a few months ago, and this is one of the books that, and I mentioned this earlier, that Terry had picked out for me, so I'm getting back into it, and I finally got the sequel, the prequel to it, and we're into the parts where we're meeting our character, the male love interest, Percy Warwick, and and after all this has happened between him and Mary Tolver and everything, and realizing the mistakes he's made, and them trying to fix it and everything, and he still sees her as only caring about her plantation and everything, but she's starting to kind of let go of it, and seeing the error of her ways, and realizing how wrong she was of being obsessed with this. And it just there was a lot. There was just a tragic loss in the family that is really sad. And we're almost towards the we're actually almost towards the next part of the. We're almost done with Percy's part, and we're close to part 3, which is in the perspective of Mary's granddaughter, who is in danger of becoming just like Mary and being obsessed with this plantation and everything. So I need to get back into this. It's again, this is one of those books that I have to be in the mood for. TV came off. If I have the TV on pause for too long, it cuts off. And I guess I can share you. I have been reading Gotham Sirens on and off lately as well. I'm on a part that I guess it's the Christmas story. This is about the women of the Gotham universe, meaning Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman, Ivy, Pepper, Poison Ivy. Although in the show Gotham on Fox, her name Ivy Pepper is her name on the show Gotham, but in the actual original text, her name is I can't remember what is her name. I can't remember if it says it in here or not. I would have to ask Taryn actually, because she's kind of the one who got me. Because I was always into the whole Gotham's universe and Batman stuff. But I didn't fully get into it until Gotham, and then realizing that Terry also liked it. But so far, what has happened is about them, about Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn moving in with Catwoman, and they're trying to find, if they're gonna work together, and they want to find out who Batman really is. But thanks to Ra's al Ghul's daughter, Talia, Selena will never be able to expose Batman to them. And let's see what else happened. We find out that Ivy has kidnapped. I'm just gonna call her Ivy, even though in the original comic books her name is not Ivy, but I'm gonna call her Ivy. We found out that Ivy was holding Enigma hostage. And so that made them less inclined to help them when Harley got herself in trouble. Because she got herself in trouble. Well, first, she was with Hush, who was disguised as Bruce Wayne. And then she ends up getting captured by a guy who used to work with Joker at one point. And he was jealous of Harley. He felt like Harley changed him. And they are trying to. Yeah, I guess that's the last part I read is with that guy trying to kill Harley because of that. And then the next one, like I said, is a holiday story. So I wonder what's probably like a holiday caper or something. And then I kind of dipped my toes in these 2 books. The Immortalist. This is one of those many books that I've been wanting to read for a while. This is one that was it's funny because it's Olive from a Book Olive that talked about this book, and although in her review she wasn't as impressed by it, I think she gave 4 or 3 stars, but I still wanted to check it out because I'm trying to get more into literary fiction, which this is probably the books that I'm going to put on my list of books I'm going to recommend to my aunt that I would like to read with her. Because I was telling my aunt when they came to visit, I was saying that I'm trying to expand my reading horizons, so I want to start a book club, but I'm kind of limited to most of my friends who would read a wide variety of books, or at least read a lot of the books that I would love to read. I only know them on Facebook, and then my 2 best friends that I would, and my two of my best friends who I think would be more open to reading a wide variety of stuff have gone back to school and they have jobs and they're getting on with their lives. One of them has a boyfriend, and then the other one, Terry, who the one that was in the video from from 2 weeks ago. We are kind of in the same boat as far as life goes, but she doesn't like reading as I've said multiple times. It's hard for me to share books with her because she's very particular about what she reads. So I ventured to ask my aunt, and she said, yeah, she would like to expand as long as it's nothing too weird or too confusing. So we're staying away from fantasy when it comes to my aunt. Now maybe my other aunt would be more open to fantasy, but anyway, I really hadn't gotten very far in this one. I just started reading the prologue, which apparently it's as long as that introduction in Beowulf. But it will be a little easier to read and less boring. And then I also started reading If We Were the Villain. Well, let me tell you first what I know about this book. So it's about these 4 siblings, and a sidekick comes to their town who can predict your death. So all 4 of them go to see her, and that's the part I'm at where they're deciding to go see her. We are introduced to the characters, and they're going to see this mysterious woman who can predict your death. And from what I know, it's about, we look at all their lives, all 4 of them, their lives, and how them knowing when they're going to die affects them and how they go about their lives. And then finally, like I said, I started reading this one as well. This is one I've been wanting. This is another one of those books that I've been wanting to read for a while. This is about a group of teenagers who do a lot of Shakespeare and stuff, and then someone ends up dead. And it is about the guy who was convicted of killing this person, narrating the events to a police officer or a detective or something who's trying to find out what really happened, because he suspects that this guy, the one who got convicted, really didn't do it, and there's more to the story. So and I love Shakespeare, so I figured, and I'm currently taking my class is British literature, so I thought it would be perfect. I thought it would be funny to read this one when I start that class. So that is what I'm currently reading right now. What are you guys are you guys reading anything interesting right now? Please feel free to let me know in the comment section below, and if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it, and I hope you are all enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you later. Alright, bye!